Welcome to the Coin Kings YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to build an 8 GPU mining rig. I'm also going to do the giveaway for 1000 Bitcoin Z. Okay, so on my last video I had a lot of comments and some good feedback, so I'm going to choose a winner for the 1000 Bitcoin Z. There we go, 55 comments. And the winner is Uzoma Onyebuchi. You keep drawing my attention to BTCZ, lots of potential for growth, just prior to scalable as you mentioned. Got myself a new wallet and I'll launch you with 1000 Bitcoin Z. Well, yep, you have, because you just won this, so I'll send that over. Meant to send 1000, transaction fee 0.0001. That's fine. Successfully sent. There we go, operation successful. Okay, now I'll show you how to build an 8 GPU mining rig. Right, so I'm going to go through all of the components that you need to build an 8 GPU mining rig. We've got two Corsair RM1000X power supplies. We've got an Asus Prime H270 Plus motherboard. We've got a Celeron G3930 processor, 16 gig DDR4 RAM, 128 gig SSD solid state drive, Dual PSU Adapter, two M2 to PCI Adapters. Got 8 XFX 4 gig RX 570 graphics cards, and we got 8 risers. So now I'm going to show you how to put the CPU, RAM and dual power supply adapter into the motherboard. So obviously we open up the box, take the motherboard out of the anti-static packaging, take the CPU out of the box. Now when you look at the CPU socket, you'll notice that there's a little triangle on the bottom left hand corner. If you look on the CPU, there is also a little triangle, so all you need to do is just match them both up. Let's take the CPU out of the protective casing, put it into the socket and clamp it into place. The little plastic clip will pop off. Okay, now we need to put the heatsink and fan on. Literally unbox it, line it up with the 4 holes and it will just click into place, and then connect the fan header to the motherboard. Clip it into place there, connect the fan power. Now just want to plug in the dual adapter into the ATX socket and then clip in the 16 gig stick of DDR4. Okay, now we'll start assembling all the components onto the frame. Right, so we're going to put the motherboard onto the rack. We're just going to check, see if the heatsink is correctly secured down. What we'll do is we'll check the fan connector, make sure that's connected, and then just spin the blade just to make sure that it's not hitting any cables, because it's really annoying when that happens. And so we're going to connect one of the M2 to PCI Express adapters. You literally just slot it in, and then there's a little screw that comes with it, and you just pop the screw in. Now if a card is ever not working, it's either, well, it's usually either the risers or these M2 ports in my experience, it's usually these M2 ports. Sometimes you just take it out and put it back in, and it works. So there's 2 of these M2 ports in this motherboard. So we're just doing the same thing here. Just slot it in and put the little screw in. It does come with a adapter, but I'm just not using that. I'm going to chuck it in the bin and just use the floppy adapter that came with the power supply. Because we're using 2 power supplies, we've got 2 floppy adapters. So this is the first PSU. We'll call it PSU 1. This is going to power the motherboard, the CPU power on the motherboard, 4 cards and 4 risers. So we just connect the CPU power in there. And on the Dual PSU Adapter, this is going to be the primary one. So if you want to turn the rig off, just turn this power supply off. You don't need to turn them both off, just this one. Well, I did connect a SATA cable to that for the SSD, but I'm actually going to run the SSD off the second power supply 2. So I did actually connect the SATA adapter, yeah, but I'm not actually going to use it on this power supply. So I'm just tidying up the cables a little bit, just because if you don't, they end up getting all tangled up, like any cable does. And I've just plugged the floppy adapters into the M2 ports. Now I'm going to start putting the risers onto the graphics cards. So you take the cellophane, sticky, horrible stuff off. And then we unpack the riser. Now they come with a Molex adapter, which we're not going to use. We're going to chuck that in the bin because these power supplies have got enough Molexes to power 4 cards. So we just click the riser in. And sometimes, I'm glad it happened on this one to be honest, because sometimes you just cannot clip it into place, and you just some real pressure and it will clip into place. Chuck that adapter into the bin, and we got another card, another riser. And we're not going to plug the USB cables in yet. We're just going to put them to one side, deal with them in a minute. Same thing again, cellophane off. Sometimes it doesn't come off in one piece, sometimes it's a nightmare, but okay, same thing again. Put it onto the riser, and this time it just clipped in first time. Sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's really difficult. So I'm just going to speed it up now. Did the rest of the cards. Same thing, just put all the USB PCI to one side. Now I haven't screwed the cards in yet. I'm just going to get them all assembled, get them all on, then I'll space them out and then screw them in. So yep, just spacing them out now. Now I'm plugging the USB cable into the riser, but I'm not plugging it into the motherboard yet. Just put them to one side. Now just screwing all the cards in to the racking. Now I'm just checking all the USB connections. Sometimes if a card's not working, it's just a loose connection. So I usually double or triple check them before turning it on, to be honest. Okay, I've plugged the SSD in. Now I'm just using just a bit of gaffer tape just to secure the SSD down. Cut off a bit of tape, wrap it round, and that shouldn't be going anywhere. So now I'm going to start plugging the Molex adapters into the risers. Sometimes this can be a bit tricky, but you do need to use a little bit of force. Obviously not too much, but a little bit of force, and it'll just clip into place. And now I'm powering 2 cards off 1 cable. That's the maximum you can do. It does have 4 Molex adapters per cable, but I only use 2, just to even out the load. Okay, now connect the 8-pin PCI Express power. Now again, sometimes these cables can be a bit fiddly because it's a 6 and a 2 pin. Sometimes it doesn't quite line up, but just keep at it, it will line up in the end. That went straight in. Let's plug the other 3 in. Now let's plug the USB cables into the motherboard. And when I do this, I always have the 3rd card, which is going to be my displaying card. So that goes into the first PCI Express port. It just makes it easy when plugging the HDMI cable in for a monitor. Okay, now I'm just connecting the 2nd power supply. This is going to power my 2 M2 adapters. Now I'm just putting a cable tie on the ATX adapter just to, again, just save it tangling up. Now I'm plugging the Molexes into the other 4 cards. Again, a little bit of force and it will go in. Now plug the other 4 USB adapters into the motherboard and just cable tie them together just to keep it a bit neater. And now connect the 8-pin PCI power into the other 4 cards. Again, sometimes it can be a bit fiddly, but just keep at it. It will go in eventually. And now I'm going to power the SSD off power supply 2, just to try and even out the load between the 2. Not that the SSD is going to use a lot of power, but it's using less power than the other power supply, so we might as well power anything off that one. Okay, get rid of some of this rubbish. Right, now everything's connected up. Get some power cables. I'll turn the power supplies on and we'll just jump the power header on the motherboard. Now what I'll do, without connecting the display, I'm just going to check to see if all the cards are running. Now you can see all the fans are running and there's a little blue LED on top of the cards. Usually if that's blue, it's working fine. Sometimes it shows up red, but that's usually because there's no PCI power plugged in, but as you can see, all the fans are running. So we're ready to plug the monitor in and see if it boots. So I'll just turn it off, go and grab a monitor and a keyboard. Okay, the monitor, I'll just plug the HDMI into the third card because that's the card that is plugged into the first PCI Express port. Plug the keyboard in, plug the power cables back in. And we'll turn the power supplies on and jump the motherboard again. And what we want to do is go straight into the BIOS. Now I actually forgot to turn the monitor on here, so I mean mistakes happen like this, to be honest. Turn the monitor on, straight into the BIOS. Now with this Asus board you need to change a couple of settings to be able to get the 8 cards to actually register. So what I'll do, I'll leave a link for the settings on the BIOS. So all you need to do is just change, enable the 4G encoding or decoding, I can't remember. And then you set a couple of other settings to Gen 2. And then I'll just turn the HD audio off because I'm not going to be using it. And I change the power options, so when a power supply is turned on, the rig just turns on. And I enable fast boot. Save them settings and restart. And now it should boot into Windows because I'm using a clone of another identical rig. So I just clone to an SSD, so it should just boot straight into Windows. And then what we'll do is we'll check, see if all 8 cards are showing up. There we go, we're in Windows. As you can see, all the 8 cards are spinning up. Go to Device Manager, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So sometimes you'll have 6. Sometimes you'll have 7, but 8 on this occasion. Great news. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to win 1,000 Bitcoin Z, all you need to do is subscribe, leave a comment, make sure you put your Bitcoin Z address in the comment, and then on my next episode I'll select a random comment and send over 1,000 Bitcoin Z. See you next time, guys.